They warned drivers never to stop at Dead Man's Curve, but one man did and vanished inside the hotel.
Dare to watch.
The sun was setting over the winding Deadman's Curve, painting the sky in shades of orange and deep purple. A lone car approached the hotel, its headlights flickering on the cracked asphalt. The building loomed ahead, old and weathered, with peeling paint and shuttered windows that whispered of decades gone by. The air was thick with the scent of rain and old wood, and a chill ran down my spine as I pulled into the empty parking lot. Something about the hotel felt off, but exhaustion drove me forward, past the creaking signs swinging in the wind. "Welcome to Deadman's Curve Hotel." I pushed open the heavy wooden door, and it groaned like it hadn't been used in years. The lobby smelled of dust, old carpets, and faint perfume that lingered like a memory. A solitary receptionist sat behind a worn desk, barely looking up, her eyes shadowed and unreadable. I handed her my reservation, and she nodded silently, sliding an old brass key across the counter. The hallway beyond seemed unnaturally long, with flickering lights casting trembling shadows on the walls. Every step I took echoed, making the silence almost unbearable. I couldn't shake the feeling that the hotel itself was watching me. I climbed the narrow staircase, each step groaning under my weight, and reached the end of the hallway. Room 7 awaited, its door slightly ajar as if inviting me in, or warning me to stay away. The room smelled of mildew and old wood polish. A single lamp flickered on a nightstand, casting long shadows across the cracked wallpaper. The bed was neatly made, but there was an unsettling coldness in the air, and I couldn't ignore the faint whisper of something moving in the corners. For the first time, I felt truly alone and watched. As I tried to settle in, the silence of the room was shattered by a soft scratching sound coming from the corner near the wardrobe. I froze, heart hammering, listening as the noise grew louder, like fingernails dragging along the wood. The shadows seemed to shift unnaturally, and the lamp flickered violently. I told myself it was just the old building settling, but then came a low, guttural whisper from the darkness. "You shouldn't be here." I jumped back toward the bed, realizing the hotel was far from empty, and I was no longer alone. Shaken, I tried to calm myself by looking around the room, but then I noticed the mirror across from the bed. My reflection stayed back, and yet it wasn't entirely me. In the glass, a shadowy figure lingered behind my shoulders, its face obscured but its eyes glinting with malice. I spun around, but the room was empty. The reflection was gone. Heart racing, I realized the mirror wasn't reflecting reality. It was revealing something else. Something inside the hotel, watching, waiting, hungry for attention. The silence shattered again, this time with a loud slam from the hallway door. I jumped, heart racing, and tried to open my own door, but it wouldn't budge. Then the bathroom door banged repeatedly, each strike echoing through the room like a warning. I backed toward the bed, every shadow now alive, moving in ways that made no sense. The air grew colder, my breath visible, and a low, guttural laugh rumbled from somewhere beyond the walls. The hotel wasn't just haunted, it was alive, and it was angry that I was here. Desperate to escape, I pried open the room door and stepped into the hallway. The corridor stretched unnaturally long, the flickering lights casting grotesque shadows. Halfway down, a dark figure appeared, tall, faceless, and still, yet somehow moving toward me. My legs froze as it glided silently, its presence pressing against me like a physical force. I wanted to scream, but no sound came. Every instinct screamed to run, but the hallway seemed endless, and the hotel's sinister grip tightened around me with every heartbeat. As I stumbled down the hallway, doors and windows began to move on their own, creaking and slamming with unnatural force. The wind inside the hotel whispered in voices I couldn't understand, sending chills racing down my spine. Shadows twisted along the walls, forming shapes that seemed almost human. I pressed myself against the wall, terrified, as a cold hand brushed past my shoulder. But when I turned, there was nothing. The hotel seemed to breathe around me, alive and malevolent, daring me to run or to stay. I ran down the stairs, hoping to escape through the lobby, but it was transformed. Chairs were overturned, chandeliers swaying though no wind existed, and the air smelled of smoke and decay. In the center, a figure materialized, transparent yet solid, wearing old-fashioned clothes, its eyes hollow and fixed on me. I stumbled back, tripping over debris, and it raised a hand slowly, pointing as if mocking me. The silence of the hotel was shattered by whispers all around, growing louder and merging into one chilling voice. "You cannot leave." As I scrambled across the lobby, objects began moving on their own. Chairs slid across the floor, lamps toppled, and paintings twisted on the walls. The ghostly figure followed silently, its presence pressing down like a heavy weight. A vase shattered at my feet, and I could hear whispers circling from every corner, urging me to run yet warning me I couldn't escape. The hotel was alive, and every step I took seemed to awaken it further, feeding the dark energy that pulsed through its walls. In my desperate search for an exit, I noticed a faint draft coming from behind a tattered curtain. Pulling it aside, I discovered a narrow, hidden passage, its walls lined with peeling wallpaper and cobwebs. The ghostly whispers grew louder, almost guiding me forward. The floorboards creaked under my feet as I stepped inside, and the air grew colder with every step. It felt like the hotel itself was leading me some way, or trapping me deeper within its haunted heart. As I ventured deeper into the hidden passage, a figure suddenly appeared at the far end, a full apparition, tall and pale, dressed in a tattered hotel uniform from decades past. Its hollow eyes locked onto mine, and it slowly raised a hand, pointing toward a dark corner. I stumbled backward, my heart racing, but the figure didn't move closer. It seemed bound to the passage, yet its presence was overpowering. The whispers intensified, merging into an unintelligible chant, as if the hotel itself was summoning me into its darkness. Panicked, I ran toward what I thought was the passage's exit, but the doorway slammed shut before I could reach it. My hands pushed and pulled, but it wouldn't budge. The air grew icy, and the whispers turned into mocking laughter that echoed off the walls. Shadows writhed around me, coalescing into shapes that lunged and recoiled, as if the hotel itself was alive and toying with me. I realized then that escape wasn't an option. The hotel had claimed me, and it wouldn't let go easily. The moment I realized the exit was blocked, I turned and ran deeper into the hidden passage. Shadows stretched and lunged at me from the walls, whispering in voices that were both human and something far older. The floorboards groaned under my weight, and unseen hands seemed to brush against my arms. My breath came in ragged gasps as the corridor twisted unnaturally, doubling back on itself. Every turn brought more darkness, more whispers, more evidence that the hotel was alive and hunting me. I stumbled into a small room off the hidden passage, gasping for breath, and froze. On the wall, words appeared as if written by invisible hands. "Leave now or stay forever." The air grew colder, carrying whispers that urged me to obey. Shadows flickered across the walls like writhing fingers, and the faint outline of a ghostly figure appeared in the corner, watching silently. Every instinct screamed to run, but the corridor behind me had vanished, leaving only the chilling warning and the oppressive presence of the hotel. Suddenly, a violent gust of wind slammed into me, knocking me off my feet. Invisible hands clawed at my clothes and hair, tugging me toward the shadows. The whispers became deafening, merging into a scream that seemed to come from the very walls. The ghostly figure from the corner lunged, passing through me with icy fingers that sent pain and terror racing through my body. I screamed, spinning desperately, realizing the hotel was no longer just haunted, it was actively trying to consume me. Scrambling to my feet, I noticed a small glint on the dusty floor, a brass key, old and tarnished, as if it had been waiting for me. The whispers paused for a heartbeat, as though the hotel itself was curious. I picked it up, and a shiver ran down my spine. The key felt cold, almost alive, and I knew instinctively that it unlocked something crucial. Somewhere deeper in the hotel lay the secret to survival, or a trap far worse than I could imagine. Clutching the brass key, I descended another narrow staircase, the air growing colder with each step. The hidden corridors twisted in impossible ways, and shadows seemed to move independently, blocking my path or guiding me forward. Faint whispers murmured secrets I couldn't understand, and the walls pulsed as if the hotel itself was alive. Every instinct screamed danger, but the key called me onward, promising either escape or confrontation with whatever haunted Deadman's Cove. At the end of the twisting corridor, I entered a vast, abandoned ballroom. Shadows swirled violently, and the air vibrated with an unearthly hum. The ghostly figure from before emerged fully, towering and menacing, eyes glowing with a cold, malevolent light. The brass key felt heavy in my hand, pulsing as if urging me to act. Every instinct screamed to flee, but I realized I had to face it, or be trapped in the hotel forever. The entity moved closer, and the temperature dropped so sharply my breath formed clouds, signaling the final, terrifying moment of truth. With a surge of courage, I thrust the brass key toward the ghostly figure. A blinding light erupted, shadows screaming and twisting before vanishing into silence. The ballroom fell still, the air warming slightly, and the oppressive presence lifted. I stumbled toward the main exit, heart pounding, unsure if the hotel had truly released me, or if it had simply chosen to wait for the next visitor. As I stepped onto the cracked asphalt outside, the hotel loomed silently behind me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that Deadman's Cove would never truly let me go. Thanks for watching this terrifying journey through the hotel at Deadman's Cove. If you crave more true horror stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Only true horror brings you chilling, real-life encounters that will haunt your nights. Don't miss out.